What's up, YouTube? I don't know if you can tell a difference, but I'm down 25 pounds. So now all those fat fuck comments can turn into chubby fuck comments. Anyways, we're doing the piston rings now in Project No Rice. You might wonder why I call it No Rice. It's because we're not doing any poor people fucking hood shit, okay? Fucking all quality parts, all the extra parts that other fucking poor asses would skimp out on, right? You know who if I'm talking to you, you know who you are. Because you've done all this dumb shit, right? No jerry rigs, no nothing. Best of the best, that's it, right? So, now we did the crank last video. Now we're going to do piston rings. We got Total Seal AP rings here. Your part number is going to be different depending on what you're getting. But, yeah. So anyways, we need to set all these piston clearances, piston ring clearances, so that we can slap them on the pistons and put these bitches together. So let's get to this. So Total Seal makes this shit retard proof. So when you get the bags, right? Bottom groove, which is the oil seal. Top groove, second groove. So you can't really screw this up. First thing we want to do is check our bore diameter, make sure the machine shop did it to what the piston specification sheet says. In this case, it's 3.228. You're going to take your telescoping gauge, close it, put it inside. You want it to be about halfway down, and you want it to be, you want this rod to be vertical. Give it a little twist side to side. Make sure it's in the center. Then we tighten down. We tighten down our knob here on the top. That locks this area so that we can measure it. So now I took my calipers, made sure this is straight in between, it's not cockeyed, and we got 3.228 exactly. So the machine shop over here did a good job. Now we're going to grab the rings, put them in, and we're going to have to file. Here are the rings that came with the pistons that we ordered. Here's one of the rings. You're going to put it in vertical and then rotate it down. Now take the piston and you're going to go down flush, and you want the piston to go straight in, and you want the ring to end up perfectly aligned. So now it's flush in there. Now we can measure the gap inside of here. Now you're going to take your feeler gauge and you're going to figure out what the tightest one you can fit in to the groove. And in my case, it's 10 thousandths. So now let's do the math, figure out what it needs to be, and then we'll grind this ring to match our mathematical measurement. Alright, so to do the math, you do the bore, 3.228 times 0.006 for 6 thousandths. For our turbo application, that gives us 19 thousandths in a third, let's just call it. So this is a manual grinder. So you take the ring, and these two pegs help force it together against the pivot. So you push, give it a little grind. Then you're going to take your little file here, and you're going to go away from the corner this way and down. So, and all you want to do is take the burrs off. You don't want to round these corners or anything crazy. Okay, so then do all four. It's kind of awkward to hold it in the camera and do this, but the last side. Once you do that, now you're gonna just wipe it off and go test it again and remark it. Good. So from that little bit of grinding manually, it went from a 10, now I could fit a 12, and when I go to use a 13, it doesn't fit. So you just take small, this might take you, you know, realistically 10 times to do this because you want to be sure that you're going to have no issues, right? So just do it very slow, do a couple passes on the machine, and then retest till you hit 19. So the 19, I can get in, it's easy. The 20 gets in there and it's nice and solid and stuck. So I went a little bit too big in this scenario. I should have had a tight 19 for our situation. But a 20, if you do the math, is only like 6 point something. Actually, let me do the math real quick. So we're going to do 0.02 for 20 thousandths divided by the bore, 3.228. That gives us 6 thousandths point, we'll just call that 0.2. So 6.2 thousandths times the bore, which is still in the neighborhood. But you want to aim for that original number, which was 19 point whatever. But you can't measure 19 point whatever with these because you don't have small enough measurements to go that far in, right? So I did this all just to show you. This is not the ring I'm using. It's garbage, right? We are using the Total Seal AP rings. So let me explain to you some stuff about those. So the Total Seal kit, the part number is an actual bore number, right? So 3228 XX-4 for 4-cylinder. Over here are the other numbers that pertain to the thickness and all that. So 3.228 is the bore thickness, right? So here is their general application setup. So for 15 to 30 pounds, they say to use the bore times 7 thousandths. But we're probably most of the time going to be between 15 and 20. So we're going to, that's why I did 6 thousandths, because this says mile boost up to 15 pounds, bore times 0.0055, which is 5.5 thousandths. Now since we're going over 15, but we're not going to 30, I just added a little bit between these, so that ended up making it 6 thousandths. So that's how I got to the 19. So when I was doing these measurements initially, we went in and put these rings in, right? And I was noticing something. I haven't ground these rings at all. And I was noticing that 19 is like nice and tight. You know, it doesn't get stuck, but it's nice. And there's some friction, and we're good, right? And the 20 doesn't really fit. So that means I'm at like 19.5, which is perfect for the math I showed you earlier, right? So I called my buddies because I was confused. We're supposed to grind on these things, correct? And I'm not having to grind on them. They're like all perfect. And he didn't believe me, blah, blah, blah. So I did all these measurements. The bore is good. The pistons are right for the bore. I gave Total Seal the right numbers. And I don't know if I just got lucky or when I told the guy at Total Seal I was running boost, they altered my numbers for me. But the top and the second ring for the Total Seal set are perfect. So, yeah. You know, sometimes you get lucky in life, and sometimes you get a big dildo in your ass with no lube. So in this scenario, I got super lucky. Saved me, well, it didn't save me any time because I was too busy dicking around trying to figure out if I did something wrong or ordered some wrong parts. But everything seems to be fine. So we're going to roll with it and put these rings on the pistons. Alright, we're going to do the oil rings first. So you put the expander in the middle and you want the ends to butt. Also, you want to go ahead and measure the oil ring inside the same way you did the top and the second ring. And mine are at 24 thousandths. So then we're going to put this, there's a groove, well, a little standoff, I guess you would call it, on the top and bottom. I don't know if you can see it. Anyways, when you put these rings in, it's going to hold this in the groove. So let me do that. When you install the top and bottom control ring for the oil, you want them to be offset. So I have one gap here. Then I have the gap of the expansion part, the part that wiggles. I have that offset away from both of these gaps, so it's somewhere 45 degrees or so off. And then so I have one there and one over here, 180 degrees off from each other. So now we're going to take a second ring with our ring expander tool, and we are gonna slide this in the groove just like that. Now we're gonna do the same thing. So the bottom one is over here, the second one is here. So on this third one, well, which is the second ring, we're gonna put it opposite of that one too. And then the top ring, which is here, is gonna go 180 of that. So every ring should be 180 out. So intake valve relief is 210 thousandths. Exhaust valve relief is 180. So when we look at the piston, it's cut down a lot farther on this side. So that's the 210, this is the 180. So this is exhaust and this is intake. Intake is going to be opposite of the dipstick. The dipstick is going to be exhaust. So first we need to take off our caps. Rotate the crankshaft so the journal is all the way down. So you're going to take the piston, slide it in. Okay? Take a rag, before you compress this, take a rag to be safe, cover the journal underneath with the rag. Now the way I'm doing it, the oil rings is on each skirt. So I have a cut here for the top and the bottom. Then for the first and second ring, I'm going to have the first ring facing the timing belt over here. Second ring facing the flywheel on this side. Then we're going to take our compressor here, our ring compressor, and we're going to compress this down. You have to make sure you press down on everything. Once the compressor's tight, your rings are tight, take something with a rubber handle and you're going to tap it in. So I finally got it in, but that style ring compressor I have is garbage as fuck. At least for these small pistons. Last time I used it, they were much larger pistons. and it worked fine. So, but I've never seen a different size version of that. Anyways, if you can spend a little bit more money on a better ring compressor, that's great. But so get it in, and you're going to be able to do 2 at once, and then you're going to have to mount your rods, rotate the crank. Actually, I'll do them 1 at a time. So I got this one in. Do not push it down. Now flip over the engine, and we'll go to the next step with the rod bearings. Here's the part number for the rod bearings, ACL tri-metals. And then we're going to install this first rod. So this is the cap for the rod. You're going to line up the groove right there and slide this down. And your goal is to have it flush on both sides, like that. Now we're going to do that to the rod below. So push the piston up, get it to where you can get in, then grab your bearing and do the same thing you did before. Just support the piston below, push it down. Now you can rotate the crank 180 degrees, make it straight up and down. Now we're going to get our plastic gauge like we did on the crank journals. We're going to do them on the rod journals next. So we're going to do the plastic gauge the same way we did the crank when we did the main bearings. So 1 piece here, 1 piece down on the rod itself. I won't be able to get a good camera angle and everything, but put it straight like this. Once you have the piece on, make sure the crank's straight up, and you're going to bring the piston and the rod, everything up, slowly touch it, then grab your cap, and both of the ends here and here, those match up on these rods. Your rods might be different, they probably won't be different. So the correct torque spec for these ARP 2000 bolts are 45 to 50 foot-pounds. So the way I'm going to torque it is, I'm going to go 10, 20, 30, 45, and then check it. So we need 20 thousandths to 38 thousandths of a millimeter, or 8 thousandths to 15 thousandths of an inch. So I'm going to use the inch right there. On the fattest part, we're at 15. A little bit bigger than 15. So now we're going to put our Amsoil assembly lube on the bearing for the rod, and then we're going to put it on the bearing on the cap. And my fat ass hands barely fit in here, so it makes it a little difficult for me, but just don't complain and just do it. Now that we have the lube in, I'm going to do 20, 40, 50. 50 is the top end of what they want you to have it at. And then spin it 3 times. And then I'm going to move on to the next outer one. And then once I get these 2 in, then I have to pull this cradle off, and then do the 2 center ones at the same time. Alright, everything's torqued down. Hopefully you guys like it. Nice and shiny. Anyways, you should be able to turn this thing not so, you know, so hard. Pretty much by hand type of thing. It's kind of hard to get my fingers in here with this girdle, but if it's hard, if you can't turn it by hand, your clearances are fucked up and you need to recheck them. Or you forgot to put lube on the bearings. I hope you guys are liking these videos of me doing this kind of work. Go ahead, hit like, share, subscribe, and all that happy horse shit. And, you know, let me know if you have any questions. I can help you out. Yeah, so I'm ordering some stuff for the Monte Carlo, and we got more stuff going on for this. I'm actually starting recording the next video right now. So, anyways, till next time, wrench on.